Member for Bass has the call.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise today to support the motion moved by the member for Franklin, and I join her in condemning the government for the aged care crisis that it has created on its watch. Now, Deputy Speaker, I might have a distinct sense of déjà vu as I stand here today, just as I did in the chamber last week, to once again make the point that older Australians and their families are languishing in limbo while the delivery of care packages are once again delayed. I brought to the attention of the House the plight of thousands of elderly Australians waiting for a home care package, for which they've already been approved, and potentially thousands more waiting for approval for packages following needs-based assessments. At this point in time, Deputy Speaker, we don't know exactly how many people are in this particular situation because the public release of the latest quarterly data on home care package and the home care package waitlist has been delayed by the government. There was a commitment, Deputy Speaker, to release the data 2 months after the period that the data covers, but this time frame has now been not met again. Instead, the data has been sitting on the desk for the Minister for Aged Care, seemingly without any action being taken. The last figures released revealed around 105,000 older Australians are now waiting for a home care package they were approved for, with the average wait time for a high-level package has blown out for over a year. Given that demand for home care packages grew by 20,000 in the last 6 months of 2017 alone, I wonder just how many older Australians will be revealed as waiting for their home care package once these latest figures finally make the slow journey off the Minister's desk. We know through the estimates process that the Department of Health previously committed to releasing the data 2 months after the period that the data covers. With the latest quarter ending in March, this means the data is now more than a fortnight late. There are questions that the Minister has to answer. Where is this data? Why is there a delay? What is he hiding? Why is transparency so hard for this government? Let's not forget, this is not an abstract exercise. These figures represent real people, elderly Australians who need care and support to remain with dignity in their own home, and their families, many of whom are feeling the pressure to provide suitable care to their loved ones whilst navigating a complicated and somewhat say dysfunctional system. I think that it's fair to say that this government doesn't care enough about these older Australians to get it right. The Turnbull government created the aged care crisis, cutting billions from the budget over the last 5 years. There was not one new extra dollar for Australia's aged care system in this year's budget. Not one extra dollar. Slashing funding to residential care to try and fix the home care mess is an insult to older Australians. Not only will residential services suffer from a decrease in funding under this Minister's watch, the commitment of 14,000 home care packages in the budget is woefully inadequate in the face of growing demand. Deputy Speaker, as I said in this place only 7 days ago, this government's inaction is placing older Australians in a terribly vulnerable and difficult situation. Australians who need home care assistance will be forced to look at residential care if they are unable to look after themselves in their home environment. But they will find, because of this government's refusal to provide additional real funding, that residential care will be difficult to find. It is, Deputy Speaker, a no-win situation that places elderly Australians at risk of a lack of adequate care and dignity they deserve. Indeed, when we talk about risk, we talk about the additional risks of people being unsupported in their own homes, even though they may be better being in a familiar environment. If that environment hasn't been supported by a home care package, there are additional risks. Deputy Speaker, the priorities of this government are sadly skewed. They can find $80 billion for tax cuts for big business. They can find billions more for tax cuts for the highest income earners, even 6 years before they are to be delivered, but they cannot seem to find the funds to provide older Australians with adequate care at a point in their lives when they need it the most. If this government truly cared about older Australians, they would treat them with honesty and respect, not by withholding these important figures and trying to pull the wool over their eyes with sneaky budget diversions and cuts.
I thank the honourable